Welcome to the Dare to Begin Small and Mighty podcast. I'm your host, Amy Van Meel, and I'm here to help inspire entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs who are struggling in the day-to-day or just getting their business off the ground. I hope that you will enjoy today's podcast. We're going to do things a little bit different, so let's dive right on in. Well, hey there, change makers. So I let you know things going to be a little bit different today, and here's why. So first of all, I'm not sitting where I normally am for my podcast. I'm actually sitting in the chair that I sit. I have a cozy chair in my office that is for reading, or if I need to do some deep thinking, I sit here to do my meditations. It's a totally different My office isn't very big, but it's a totally different little corner. It has a different energy, and I just felt this morning like this is where I needed to be to talk to you. Now, something else that's different about this week than normal is that usually I have my podcast recorded ahead of time, and at this moment I have less than an hour to get this recorded and out to you. So I feel a little bit of pressure, and yet I'll be honest, I tried to record this podcast a few times before and just couldn't get it out. So today is a little bit different in a number of ways, and then the other way that it's different is that I don't have an outline to share with you. So we're going to go on this journey together. I hope sincerely that it's going to work out for all of us. And if you're willing to walk through it with me, then let's dive right on in. So I'm about to launch something bigger than I've ever done before. I have been working on a new project for several months now, and I set a launch date in January for May 1st, and the closer I get, the more the nerves and the fears and the worries start to come up. And I'll be honest with you, last week I was totally sidelined from doing any work, and I was so frustrated. I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I was exhausted, and I felt all week like I was short of breath, and I'm like, what is happening here? And a very wise friend of mine who's also a breakthrough coach and has been coaching me through some major growth that I've been experiencing the past several months. She said, Amy, you need to just surrender to what is. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I can do that, but I will try. So very different than what is my normal. I got very little accomplished last week and just did my very best to focus on surrendering to what is. And that carried on through the weekend, and that's carrying through a little bit today. There feels like I have some vulnerability with you guys today, and I know that you're not sitting here in the office with me. 12 inches from my face is acoustic foam, so you wouldn't fit in here anyway. But I want to be honest with you, and I want to be, if you will permit me, be a little bit more vulnerable than I normally am, because here's what I want to talk about today. So I'm about to launch this big thing, and it has the potential for some amazing impact in the world. It has an incredible financial gain possibility for myself and for my guy. And one of the reasons that I was led to bring this out is that I really struggled in my business. For years, I really struggled. Now, you may know by now that I have a design business. So I'm an interior designer by training. And I've had a design business for about 4.5 years now. I started my business with, bright eyes and really excited, and I felt wholly ready to take the adventure and to just jump on in. And I didn't know anything about starting a business. And I'm like, you know what? It's going to be okay. There was a number of things that had come together that just said to me, this is where I'm meant to go, and it's going to be a success. Well, 4 years later, it literally was this year, January, that I realized finally that 3 out of my 4 years in business had been profitable. Now, that probably sounds like a win, but let me tell you what I thought. I thought all the way through all 4 years that I had my business, and I mean, I still have it at the moment. I say at the moment because I suspect that this business is going to probably migrate to something different by the end of the year. I'm a little nervous telling you that right now because I haven't really actually said that out into the world. So here we go. But it was a difficult journey for me, and I did some coaching. So like I said, when I started my business, I didn't know a thing about running a business. My parents were both business owners, so I understood a bit of what it looked like, but I didn't know the day-to-day. I didn't know, what I had to do to set up my business. I didn't know, do I need licenses or permits? I don't think I got my business license for like a year because I didn't know that I needed to have one. I didn't have any idea what I was doing, and I was operating entirely on faith that it was going to come together. And if I'm totally honest with you guys right now, the first 3 weeks that I air quotes had my business, was running my business, I was renovating the office because I didn't have a clue where to start. Now, I took some coaching. I did some business training over a couple of years in my business, and I learned a lot there, but what I found was I learned a lot of things that I couldn't implement. And unfortunately, I picked up a number of beliefs in the training that in the end, I've really been discovering in the last, I would say not even 4 months, maybe 3 months, these beliefs that had really sidelined my progress and my potential success. And I struggled in the 4 years that I had my business. So when I say that something opened my eyes this year. I did my profit and loss, my P&L statement in January for 2018 to say, okay, how did I do last year? Because I'll be honest, I thought it was a disaster. I thought I had done everything I could possibly do to screw it up. And I'm like, there's no way that I made money last year. And sure enough, I did. I actually turned a profit. I can't remember off the top of my head what the numbers were, but all of a sudden it occurred to me that I'd had my business for 4 years, and 3 out of those 4 years had actually turned a profit. Now, what's even more shocking to me, besides the fact that it turned a profit, because that's what, if we have a business, that's our whole goal. I was living in a city where when the oil prices fell several years ago, the economy here really took a hit. We lost something like 100,000 jobs in a city of 1.2 or 1.3 million. And a lot of these jobs weren't like entry-level jobs. These were jobs for people that were in, C-suite positions or management positions, jobs where people were making good money. And interior design is more of I would call it a luxury service. It's not necessarily a service that, it's not something that everybody needs or everybody is willing to spend money on. Now, speaking as an interior designer and having seen the effect on renovations when I've worked with clients, hiring a designer it just sets your whole project up for success. It's beyond the value that you pay for having a designer, but when you have an economy where people are, struggling to pay their mortgage, you're gonna not necessarily have people willing to pay you to help design their home. They'll figure it out on their own. So I had no business experience. I started my business, literally, I think I started my business, and a week or 2 weeks after I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, that's when the oil fell. And I'm like, well, I guess there's no time like the present. And then to top it all off, like I said before, I realized that I picked up a number of beliefs, but I also had an enormous amount of limiting beliefs. I call it malware running on my OS, my operating system, that was just preventing me from being successful. And last year was a perfect example of how detrimental and deadly this malware can be. So I started off 2018. I was working a full-time job as a merchandiser, which I haven't actually told a lot of people. There's a lot coming out in today's podcast, so heaven help me as it all comes out. So I started a job. I was working full-time as a merchandiser, which I enjoyed, and it gave me the financial regularity to be able to buy my WRX. You've heard me talk about my WRX and how much I love it. So this full-time job allowed me to do a number of different things, and then because it eased the stress and the pressure in my mind and on my heart of the financial gain, like just being able to pay my bills every month, all of a sudden, the first quarter of 2018 was phenomenal. I'd made more money in that first quarter than I think I'd made in any section of months at all in my business. It was astounding to me. The beauty of it was that it allowed me to make some major forward strides on my financial situation. I paid off a number of debts, some money that I had borrowed from my guy. It allowed my bank account bounced up, and I was just like, wow, like it's finally coming together. And there came a point at which time became the limiting factor. I had a full-time job. I had clients coming in that needed more of my time, and I was struggling to balance it all out. There just wasn't enough hours in the day. And after several months, I finally made the decision that I needed to pull back to part-time at this job because I couldn't do them both. And I right from the start, like even when I took the job, they knew that my business was my priority. And I just said, I'm like, okay, Amy, we're going to have to step into this a little bit. This is what we're going to do. So I made the decision to go part-time and immediately felt nauseous. I was terrified. The next, I don't even know how many weeks, I think it was 2-3 weeks between when I went from, the full-time hours, because obviously I didn't want to just leave them in a lurch and say, okay, I'm going part-time, see you later. But I had about 2 weeks of full-time hours, and then it was going to be part-time. And merchandising is typically in retail, so I was working in a retail position, and there was no guarantee once I pulled back to part-time. I was fearful, but I thought, okay, it's going to be okay. Like my boss knows that I need so many hours in a week. It's going to be all right. And the first part-time schedule came out and I had 4 hours. And I'm like, oh my God, I've just made an enormous mistake. And I was swallowed up in fear. I was terrified. Every day I was crying, and I'm like, this is a huge mistake. What did I do? Like I shouldn't have done this. And there didn't seem to be the possibility to go back to full time, which maybe was a good thing in a way because, it would have been a safety blanket in a way. But on the other hand, I'm like, oh my God, I've just made the most enormous mistake. And that's all I could focus on, was that I'd made a huge mistake. I wasn't going to have any money. The projects were going to dry up. There wasn't going to be more clients coming in. And what was I going to do now? No surprise, in like 3 months, I was barely making any hours at the job, and I had basically no client work at that time. I watched my bank account go into decline. I watched, all this amazing financial progress that I had made vanish into thin air. I had a little bit of client work from previous clients, some repeat clients over the summer, but it was small. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And I had struggled. 2017 had been a huge struggle for me personally. 2016 had been challenging. And I just felt like I can't see my way out. And I became very depressed and extremely withdrawn. Now, you may notice that my voice is a little bit different today than it often is. Usually I'm coming to you guys with a ton of energy. And like I said, the last week and a half has been a bit of a challenge for me. So you're hearing that a little bit in my voice, and you're hearing that that inner wrestling, I suppose, that I've been working my way through. So I mean, the little bit that you know of me, you know that I'm a relatively, energetic and happy person. This is not a tooting my own horn, but I tend to raise people's energy when I'm around them. And it's a beautiful gift, and I love being around people. But I just couldn't. I became very withdrawn. I didn't want to go see anybody. I didn't know what to talk about. I just felt like I would bring everybody down. I had, in the year previous, when I had been really struggling with some family issues that were really wearing on me, I had people say, how are you today? And I'd say, oh, I'm okay. And then I would get, well, what do you mean you're just okay? You should be great. Look at all the amazing things that are happening in your life. And it was like beating a dead horse back into a hole. I can't even explain it. But anyway, that's a whole different topic. So I became very withdrawn, and I think I've mentioned this before, and if I haven't, at some point in the fall, a friend of mine called. So my friend Brandy Taylor, who I have spoken about previously, she is a breakthrough coach, and she's been doing some phenomenal work with me, and she's launching her own program actually as we speak, and I'm so excited for it to come out into the world. And we've been friends for years. We met years ago when we were doing business training together, when we were both working in different businesses at the time. And she called me one Friday, and she just said, hey, I've been thinking about you. And I'll be honest, most of the time I've been avoiding the phone because I'm like, I don't know what to say, and I don't have any energy to drum up, false positivity. So we talked for a bit, and she was mentioning something that came up in her business or something in her launch. And I said, let's have a chat. If you've got time next week, let's get together, because I think I could help you with this. And I mean, rather than paying somebody else that she felt the rates were too high, it was something that I had done in my business anyway. So I'm like, I think I can help you with this. So we met the following Monday, and we spoke for 7 hours. And I finally, she told me all about her new business, and I was so excited for her. And I finally said to her, I said, why did you call me? And she said, Amy, the universe just told me that I needed to call you. And I immediately started to sob. And she's like, oh my goodness, like what happened? What's going on? And he said to her, I thought the universe forgot about me. I thought that it had moved on. Every time I tell that story, and it's not often that I tell it, I get a little bit weepy because I think, wow, I'm so grateful for where my life has come to now. But I really thought, I've made every mistake I can. I have limited my progress in every possible way. And my life now is a reflection of the fact that I'm not worthy to do this work, that I'm not worthy of having a successful business, that I'm not worthy of living this big life that I could see and that I could taste, but that I just couldn't seem to bring about. As I started working with Brandy and we organized a trade, like I'll help you with whatever I can within your business. Please help me move forward because I don't want to be here anymore. And it was in the time that I started working with Brandy that I literally, through what I call divine download, it's the only way I can explain it, I received the idea for what I am about to bring out. And it came in small things. Like I was literally lying in bed trying to fall asleep. My guy he'd fallen asleep already. He was snoring away beside me. And this idea would drop in my head, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Now, I never do this. I never, ever, ever make a note. But that night, I'm like, I'm going to make a note of that. I don't know why I feel like I should, but I'm going to make a note of that. And for about a half an hour, more little ideas would just pop in. And I kept thinking, oh, I should make a note of that. And a few nights later, it happened again that I was lying in bed, my guy's snoring away, I'm trying to fall asleep, and more of these little ideas kept dropping in. And I'm like, I don't know what this is about, but, I'm curious. So anyway, we'll go with it. We'll just write it down and I'll look at it later. And a few days later, I looked at these notes that I had made and I'm like, this is a business idea. And here's the cool thing. These notes that I had made they became the basis of what I'm creating and what I'm launching on the 1st. And I'm very excited about it. But here's what I loved about it. I've just told you that I spent 4 years in my business really struggling. And I didn't know anything that I was supposed to do when I started a business. And I made every possible mistake I could. In my first year of business, I ended up in front of a judge trying to get paid. I thwarted my own success by living entirely in fear. In a time, in a year, in a perfect situation that should have just launched what I had been building on into the stratosphere. I have screwed it up in every possible way. And despite all of that, despite the economy, despite my beliefs, despite my lack of knowledge, I still had a business that was profitable. And when I started to see how these ideas fit together, I'm like, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to teach this to other people who want to start a business so that they don't have to go through what I went through. So that they're not sitting in their office with tears in their eyes because they can't figure it out. They don't know what to do next. Or they're looking at someone's Instagram feed and they're thinking, why can't I be like, I can't do it as good as them? How can they make it look so amazing? Why does it look so easy? And I realized that I was uniquely positioned, that these ideas had dropped into my head. They were all based on my experience, and I was putting them together because I didn't want someone else to go through what I went through. I didn't want someone else to be crying in their office, to feel like a failure, to get in their own way. I didn't want for someone else to pick up the negative beliefs that I had picked up and then limit their own possibility of success. When I look at what I've created and what I'm about to launch into the world, and I'm so excited for what is about to come out, I feel really grateful for all the experiences that I've gone through, for all the heartache and the tears and the frustration that I went through in my business, because it is through those that I know intimately how hard it is to start a business, how hard it is to keep frickin' going in a business. It is not glamorous. It is not always exciting. It's a lot of really damn hard work. And it's not easy. And anybody who says to you, it's really easy to start a business, it might be easy to think to start. But let me tell you, once you get going, it's difficult. And that's not to say that it's not doable. Obviously, businesses get started all the time. And obviously, I started a business and it was profitable despite everything that I had done. But it's hard to do it on your own. So this is what I want to share with you today. This is our takeaway for the day. On May 1st, for 2 weeks, and only for 2 weeks, I am going to be teaching a masterclass on the three, what I would say most popular myths that are preventing you from your business success. I'm really excited about this masterclass because I see these three myths recurring over and over and over again when I talk to people who have an idea for a business or a desire to start a business, and they keep coming into these three, they're myths, they're lies that we've been told that prevent them from moving forward. And I don't want that for you. So I am inviting you to join me in the masterclass. I'm so excited for it. You can find a sign up link. Go to daretobegin.net/masterclass. And between you and me right now, it is 9:38 a.m. on Tuesday, April 23rd, and that link isn't up yet, but it will be up by the end of the day. I'm quite certain. So by the time you're listening to this, you will be able to access that link. I want you to sign up for the masterclass. Now, here's the caveat. I'm only teaching it for 2 weeks. I will have 4 classes. So when you reach the download or when you reach the sign up link, you will find the classes that you are able to take. And once I complete them, so by the end of 2 weeks, that masterclass, I won't teach it again, probably for several months. So I want you to take the step today. Go to the link, sign up, and join me in the masterclass, because I believe in the business that you want to bring out. I believe in the potential success and profitability of the idea that's been rumbling around in your mind. I believe that you can do it. And I know into the deepest, darkest depths of it, how hard, how scary it can be to start something new. And I know what it is to do something like that and struggle to make it profitable. So I want you to join me in the masterclass, because I'm going to show you the real truth behind these 3 myths. And I'm so excited to teach this content. I don't even know how to explain how excited I am. I'm really stoked for it. So go to the link, daretobegin.net/masterclass. Join me they are live teachings. So join me for the live sessions. I would love to see you inside the masterclass. And I want to help you achieve the success that you so very much deserve. I trust that this podcast will find you exactly where it was meant to. And I just want to say thank you for walking through this podcasting journey with me. Like I said, it's been a little bit different, but I feel like this is what I needed to bring out for you today. So I wish you a wonderful week. I wish you every success moving forward. If you don't join me in the masterclass, hey, that's okay. It's not meant for you right now. But if you have a business idea that you've been rumbling around and you just can't seem to get it out, if you've started a business and you're struggling in certain areas, join me. I mean, you might find that some of the stuff that we're going to cover in the masterclass will actually help you even if you've started a business. So this isn't only for those who are thinking about starting. All right? So I want you to make the commitment to yourself. Decide whether or not you're ready. And if you're thinking right now, well, Amy, I'm not ready because I don't have all these things in place, join me for the masterclass anyway, because I'm willing to bet that you're going to learn something in the masterclass that will show you that you're probably more ready than you think. So one more time, the link is daretobegin.net/masterclass. Sign up, join me live. It's only happening for 2 weeks. So it's a limited time offer. And once it's done, then you're going to have to wait. And it'll be a while before it comes out again. So with that, I wish you an amazing week ahead. I look forward to seeing you next week. I have no idea what we're talking about next week, but I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Until then, have a wonderful day. Bye for now.